Hey guys, Kat here. Welcome back to my channel. This is the best books of 2017 video. And I was gonna do a top 10 and then there's like one more that snuck in at the end. So let's go ahead and get into it. So my honorable mention for best books of 2017 is Autonomous by Annalee Newitz. So I actually read this book a few days ago, so it is really fresh in my memory, and that is kind of why it gets an honorable mention, because I'm not sure if it would go up or down in score if I had had more time to like digest how much I loved it. But this book just hit all of my boxes. So we follow Jack, who is a pharmaceutical pirate, and she has been stealing drugs and reverse engineering them to basically give them to the poor. She's the Robin Hood of drugs. And then chasing her is a man, a soldier, and a paladin, which is like a robot. And they may or may not be involved romantically, which is like against all precedents. And there were just so many things in this book that I'm really looking for. Oh my god. So I loved reading this book. I wish it had been longer. I hope that this is the first in a series. I'm not really sure. I could have read easily another 100 or 200 pages of this. It was really great. I do recognize, however, that it does have two major problems, and I will probably do a full review of this later on. So this is not a perfect book by any means, but it really hit all of like the things that I love the most. So I'm so here for it, and I'm so glad I read it, and it was a Christmas gift, and I'm so happy about it. Okay, so the next book is the gosh darn cutest book I have read all year, and it is number 10, Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This book was so cute. So we follow Simon, who is a young guy in high school who is writing a secret kind of email pen pal and named Blue. And one day he forgets to log out of the messaging, and a high school bully outs him in front of the whole school, and it's really rough and brutal. And then we also embark upon kind of Simon's coming of age story and also his hunt to find out who Blue is, and it is just so adorable, and I highly recommend it. If you need a pick-me-up, this is for sure what you need. It is just like a dose of sugar, and I am so happy that I read this book. So cute! Oh my god, so cute. Number 9 for the year is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sands. So we follow two main characters, Dante and Aristotle, Ari for short, as they kind of navigate their way around. One of them is out and proud, and the other one is just his best friend. And it is kind of their life journey together, and when one of them moves away, certain things change. So this is more than anything just an amazing story of friendship, and Sands isn't afraid to get a little dark with it. So Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, although there is some high school bullying, it's overall very lighthearted. This book can get really dark at sometimes, but I really liked that about it, and so it is my number 9 pick for the year. So number 8, along that same vein, is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. So this book isn't afraid to go so dark. I was sobbing. I was just sobbing. Like, as we get higher up in these numbers now, like pretty much all of these books made me just cry. Like buckets and buckets. So this book follows Matteo and Rufus, who are two completely different guys, and the way that they have lived their life up until they get the notification is radically different. But once they meet, it is just a really heartfelt, eventful 24 hours, and this book just ripped my heart out. And I know that some people didn't connect with it, but that was not the case with me. I just was sobbing. Yeah, so really recommend. So my number 7 pick for this year is Drawing Blood by Poppy Z. Bright, and I read this for Spookathon, and we follow Trevor, whose father murdered his entire family when he was younger, and he goes back to his hometown to try to discover why his father would do such a thing. Why did he leave him alive? So along the same timeline, there's also a hacker whose path intersects with Trevor's, and it's just really twisted and intertwined, and it's really erotic but also horrific. There's a lot of gore, a lot of blood, so this has all the major trigger warnings that you could think of, and a lot of people really can't stomach Poppy Zeebrite, and I do not blame them. But if you don't mind getting like a little dark every now and then, like really dark, then I would really recommend Drawing Blood. It's not for everyone, but it was for me, and it was so good and perfect for the Halloween season. Number 6 for the year is the Fox Hole Trilogy by Nora Sakavic. So this series is really amazing. It's also like a little bit of candy trash, but I really cannot help loving this series. So we follow Neil Jostin, who is on the run. His father is the infamous Butcher, and he is trying to hide from the authorities, and he also doesn't want his like mob boss father to find him. So he decides to follow the one thing that he really loves the most in life, which is playing Exy, which is kind of like a bastard hybrid of lacrosse and rugby. And he decides to join the Foxes. And the Foxes are a team, an Exy team of kind of like misfits, and there's so many amazing characters in the team itself, and I have my own like personal favorites, but I'm not gonna get into it. But there are some ships that are just like amazing in this series, and there is a warning for physical and sexual violence and a lot of triggers. So if you're gonna go into this series, I would definitely term it as new adult or adult. It's definitely not YA at all, just a warning. And yeah, I am just trash for this series, and I love it so much. My number 5 pick for the year is The Traitor Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. I read this back in February for FF February, and I was totally blown away. So we follow Baru Cormorant, who we see from a very, very young age up to adulthood. So as a child, her island is colonized via economics by the Empire of Masks, and she decides that to get revenge on the Empire, she is going to rise from within their own ranks. She's going to study, and she's going to become someone important in their infrastructure so that she can take them down eventually. So this is the first book in a series. It definitely ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I was totally unprepared for how much I would love the ending, how much I would be really intrigued by Baru Cormorant's kind of political machinations. And it's not that I really like politics, I actually really don't, but the way in which it was written I thought was so clever, and a lot of the systems in which the dominant power takes control of the other powers was really well written, and I really hope that the book comes out sometime. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So if you like political intrigue and FF and you don't mind the economics of things, then I think this would be such an amazing read for you. And the end just totally blew me away, and shocked me, but blew me away. Yeah, it was so amazing. This is like the best of the year, so like every book on this list, I'm just like, it was so amazing, and it's because they're all amazing. So my number 4 pick for the entire year is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. And in this book we follow Wavy, whose father is kind of the drug overlord of the neighborhood, and she's growing up in really, really bad circumstances, and she eventually meets one of her father's thugs named Kellen on the night that he crashes his motorcycle. And from there they kind of grow, and he takes care of her and her brother, takes them to school, makes sure they're eating, because the mother is addicted to drugs and the dad is totally not present at all. So he really helps raise her, but also their relationship changes into something else over time. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of problems with this book, and I'm not going to say that it's not problematic, but I think the way in which it was written really didn't bother me in the end. So if you were kind of wondering what I'm talking about, I did a full review of this one just because I really had a lot of feelings about the certain issues that are kind of in the gray zone. So I will leave that linked down below if you would like to see it. But overall, I thought it was an amazing story. Very dark, very great. That's kind of all the things that I love the most. There has to be some sort of dark element and just great writing. So yeah, All the Ugly and Wonderful Things was amazing. Ding! Next up is my number 3 pick for the whole year. I can't believe it. And it is Teeth by Hannah Moskowitz. We follow Rudy, whose younger brother is very, very ill. And the family decides to move to an island where it is rumored that the fish that swim around the island and that the inhabitants eat can heal people. So the family moves there in hopes that the younger brother will be well, and Rudy starts to visit with someone that is called Teeth, who may or may not be a merman. So this book, it just ripped my heart out, and I was totally not expecting it. It's not really a fairy tale retelling. Nothing is magical other than really the element of teeth. So it's just like brutal and amazing, and I have read other things by Hannah Moskowitz, but this one by far just blew me away. And I mean, anything with like mer people, I'm automatically gonna be here for it, and it was done so well, and I cried so hard, and I really highly recommend it so much. So my number 2 pick for the entire year is my absolute darling by Gabrielle Talent. So if you have seen my last few videos, I love that book. It is so amazing. I also did a full review of it because I really wanted to talk about my feelings. So I will leave that linked down below as well. So we follow a young girl named Turtle who's growing up with a doomsday end of the world type father who teaches her to hunt and defend for herself in the wilderness. The setting is very evocative and lush. It is on the Mendocino coast. So there are so many things to love about this story. There is Turtle herself, who you see grow and change and become very, very strong as her own person. There is her father, who is a very static character and who challenges her in many ways, and there is just the constant like love and friction and like destruction that goes between them. And then there is the town and nature and the way that they interact with both the father and Turtle. And this book just completely blew me away. I mean, I can't. It's so amazing. And Stephen King himself said he couldn't have wrote this book himself. And this is Gabrielle Talent's first book. So I'm just like in awe of Talent, and the story is amazing, and my mind was just blown. And that's pretty much how I feel about my number 1 pick. I don't know if any of you guys can guess what it is, but it is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So, the Iliad is one of like my all-time classic literature favorites, and this is a retelling of the Iliad, and it is just amazing. I think that this is one of those books that is tied up in nostalgia for me, because I've read the Iliad now 2 or 3 times in high school and in university, so I have studied the Iliad a fair bit, and I know the things that happen fairly well. So as I'm reading this book, I am not only enjoying how Miller is writing this book, but I'm also comparing it to what I know about the timeline and what happens and what will happen, which led me to like the worst case of sobbing that I have ever had this entire year. I think that I was inconsolable for maybe like an hour, and it was just brutal because I knew it was gonna happen. I wasn't like shocked by the ending, like everyone knows the ending, but the way in which she wrote it was just, oh my god, just kill me. It was so good. And I've actually since gifted this to my university professor, who also likes classic literature, and I just really love this book. So yeah, I really recommend it to everyone, and it is very accessible, even if like, you know, ancient Greek literature isn't really your thing. This is very accessible, and she explains it in such a way that you know who all the major players are, even if you are unfamiliar with all like the extra characters. You don't need to know. This is a self-contained masterpiece, and next year another one is coming out, Circe, and I cannot wait. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Oh yeah. So yeah, overall I am so pleased with all of my top picks. Obviously they're the top picks. Let me know if you agree with any of my picks, and also what your favorite books of the year were. I love watching these videos because it lets me know all the sort of books that I should be reading and adding to my TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, then please give me a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. It would really mean a lot. And I am just gonna say toodles for now. See you next year. Bye!